SoulShift, the podcast that challenges you to rethink what's possible through the lens of community wisdom and social justice. I'm your host, JyOba X, and together we'll dive deep into the intersection of community wisdom, radical possibilities, and social justice. In today's episode, we'll take a poetic journey through the profound impact of the Black social movement in America. This movement has been a cornerstone in the quest for equality, justice, and social change in the United States. We'll poetically flow through its history and meet its key figures while contextualizing this journey through the voices of Black American poets to understand its lasting legacy. As your host, I'm excited to curate today's show using reflective poetry to educate and define key moments within the movement. So we'll start by pairing the poetry of Langston Hughes with historical moments, and also our desire as Black Americans for Black liberation for context. Then we'll share a poem by Nikki Giovanni to reflect the Black Power movement and its modern impact and legacy, which will connect us to the current Black Lives Matter movement, which we'll examine by pairing it with a poem by Audre Lorde. And lastly, we'll reflect on some radical possibilities that we can contemplate and cultivate together. So, let's get to it. To grasp the essence of the Black social movement, we must trace its origins. The struggles for Black liberation in the United States is deeply rooted in history, beginning with the atrocities of slavery, moving through the Civil War and the subsequent Reconstruction era. Although slavery was abolished, systemic racism and segregation continued to plague Black communities. Here's a powerful poem by Langston Hughes, one of the most prominent figures of the Harlem Renaissance era. It captures the spirit and struggles of the Black social movement. Hughes was an American poet, social activist, novelist, playwright, and columnist. He was one of the earliest innovators of the literary art form called jazz poetry. So, to contextualize the moment, let's reflect on the poem I Too by Langston Hughes. I too sing America. I am the darker brother. They send me to eat in the kitchen when company comes, but I laugh and eat well and grow strong. Tomorrow, I'll be at the table when company comes. Nobody'll dare say to me, eat in the kitchen then. Besides, they'll see how beautiful I am and be ashamed. I too am America. Langston Hughes wrote I too in 1926, and it resonates deeply with the themes of the Black social movement. The poem speaks to the struggle for equality and the assertion of identity and dignity in the face of systemic racism. It reflects the resilience and hope of Black Americans who, despite being marginalized, envision a future where they are fully recognized and respected as integral parts of American society. This poem ties beautifully into the historical context of the Black social movement, highlighting both the challenges and the enduring spirit of the fight for civil rights. In the early 20th century, we saw the emergence of organizations like the NAACP, which championed civil rights through legal battles and advocacy. However, the mid 20th century marked a significant turning point with the civil rights movement. Figures such as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks, and Malcolm X became symbols of the fight against racial injustice. The Black social movement is marked by critical events that mobilized support and drew national attention to the struggle for equality. The Montgomery bus boycott of 1955, intentionally planned and ignited by Rosa Parks' arrest, was a defining moment. That protest culminated in a Supreme Court ruling that decided segregation on public buses was unconstitutional. So, to contextualize this moment, let's also reflect on the poem Let America Be America Again by Langston Hughes. Let America be America again. Let it be the dream it used to be. Let it be the pioneer on the plain, seeking a home where he himself is free. America never was America to me. Let America be the dream, the dreamer's dream. Let it be that great, strong land of love where never kings connive nor tyrants scheme, that any man be crushed by one above. It never was America to me. Oh, let my land be a land where liberty is crowned with no false patriotic wreath, but opportunity is real and life is free. Equality is in the air we breathe. There's never been equality for me, nor freedom in this homeland of the free. Say, who are you that mumbles in the dark? And who are you that draws your veil across the stars? I am the poor white, fooled and pushed apart. I am the Negro bearing slavery's scars. I am the red man driven from the land. I am the immigrant clutching the hope I seek and finding only the same old stupid plan of dog eat dog, of mighty crush the weak. I am the young man full of strength and hope, tangled in that ancient endless chain of profit, power, gain, of grab the land, of grab the gold, of grab the ways of satisfying need, of work the men, of take the pay, of owning everything for one's own greed. I am the farmer, bondsman to the soil. I am the worker sold to the machine. I am the Negro servant to you all. I am the people, humble, hungry, mean. Hungry yet today despite the dream. Beaten yet today. Oh, pioneers, I am the man who never got ahead. The poorest worker, bartered through the years. Yet I'm the one who dreamt our basic dream. In the old world while still a serf of king. Who dreamt a dream so strong, so brave, so true that even yet its mighty daring seen. In every brick and stone, in every furrow turned, that's made America the land it has become. Oh, I'm the man who sailed those early seas in search of what I meant to be my home. For I'm the one who left dark Ireland's shore and Poland's plain and England's grassy lea and torn from black Africa's strand. I came to build a homeland for the free. The free? Who said the free? Not me. Surely not me. The millions on relief today, the millions shot down when we strike, the millions who have nothing for our pay, for all the dreams we've dreamed, and all the songs we've sung, and all the hopes we've held, and all the flags we've hung. The millions who have nothing for our pay, except the dream that's almost dead today. Oh, let America be America again, the land that never has been and yet must be, the land where every man is free, the land that's mine, the poor man's, Indians, Negroes, me. Who made America? Whose sweat and blood? Whose faith and pain? Whose hand at the foundry? Whose plow in the rain? Must bring back our mighty dream again. Sure, call me any ugly name you choose. The steel of freedom does not stain. From those who live like leeches on the people's lives, we must take back our land again. America. Oh, yes, I say it plain. America never was America to me. And yet, I swear this oath, America will be. Out of the wreck and ruin of our gangster death, the rape and rot of graft and stealth and lies, we the people must redeem the land, the mines, the plants, the rivers, the mountains, and the endless plain. All, all the stretch of these great green states, and make America again. This Langston Hughes poem resonates deeply with Dr. King's vision of an America where equality, freedom, and justice are realities for all its citizens. Hughes eloquently captures the struggles, hopes, and dreams of marginalized communities, reflecting the core messages of Dr. King's I Have a Dream speech. This poem underscores the longing for an America that lives up to its ideals and promises, making it a powerful poetic representation of Dr. King's message, right? So Dr. King and his leadership during the civil rights movement is legendary. His philosophy of nonviolent protest inspired millions and led to transformative legislation like the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965. These laws, they aim to dismantle institutional racism and guarantee equal rights for all citizens. So while the civil rights movement sought integration and legal equality, the Black Power movement of the late 1960s offered a different approach. Leaders like Stokely Carmichael and groups like the Black Panther Party emphasized racial pride, economic empowerment, and self defense. Here's a powerful poem by Nikki Giovanni, a renowned poet whose work reflects the themes of empowerment, resistance, and social justice. It just so happens to align with the beliefs and values of the Black Panther Party. Giovanni is an American poet, writer, commentator, activist, and educator. So, to contextualize the moment, let's reflect on the poem Revolutionary Dreams by Nikki Giovanni. I used to dream militant dreams of taking over America to show these white folks how it should be done. I used to dream radical dreams of blowing everyone away with my perceptive powers of correct analysis. I even used to think I'd be the one to stop the riot and negotiate the peace. Then I awoke and dug that if I dreamed natural dreams of being a natural woman, doing what a woman does when she's natural, I would have a revolution. Just powerful. Nikki Giovanni's poem captures the essence of the radical and transformative spirit of the Black Panther Party and Black feminism. The poem reflects the journey from militant and radical aspirations to a more profound understanding of revolution through the lens of natural existence and personal empowerment, right? Just being who you are, your authentic self is powerful within itself, right? Your story has power. Words emphasize the power of self realization and the importance of authentic identity in creating social change. This poem aligns with the Black Panther Party's advocacy for empowerment, self awareness, and the fight against systemic oppression, making it a fitting representation of their beliefs. The Black Panther Party, founded by Huey Newton and Bobby Seale, implemented community programs such as free breakfast for children and healthy clinics. They also demanded an end to police brutality and economic exploitation. Their militant stance and radical rhetoric marked a significant shift in the fight for Black liberation. And let's note how this intersects with the recent Supreme Court decision that grants the President of the United States full immunity from criminality while conducting presidential duties, right? Do y'all really think a hostile president operating with this power wouldn't take the opportunity to overtly neutralize such an organization like the Black Panthers or the Black Lives Matter movement? We're witnessing in real time how conservative political operatives seek to delegitimize the Black Lives Matter movement and all its progress since George Floyd's death in the Minnesota uprisings. I know some of my brothers and sisters here have decided to either opt out of voting in the coming election or worse, cast a vote for Donald Trump. I implore you, think about the long-term ramifications of your votes and don't fall for the okie doke of a moral monster like Donald Trump and the whole MAGA supporting Republican movement. Yeah, I said it. Don't fall for it. Because honestly, I'm going to look at you funny forever. For real, for real. Because they're not only not like us, they smile in our faces with hate and revulsion. And that's real talk, y'all. They don't like us. So, if we're going to cultivate blackness, we got to first protect blackness. Voting for Trump simply puts blackness at risk. So, look, the black social movement's impact is enduring, continuing to influence contemporary efforts for racial justice. The struggle is ongoing, y'all, as highlighted by the Black Lives Matter movement established in 2013. BLM and cell phone have put a spotlight on police violence and systemic racism in the 21st century. Here's a poem by Audre Lorde that resonates with the themes and emotions central to the Black Lives Matter movement. Lorde was an American writer, professor, philosopher, intersectional feminist, poet, and civil rights activist. She was a self described Black lesbian feminist, socialist, mother, warrior, poet. I love it. Mother, warrior, poet, who dedicated her life and talents to confronting different forms of injustice. If you are unfamiliar with Audre Lorde, go to Wikipedia and get familiar with this woman. So, to contextualize the moment, let's reflect on the poem A Litany for Survival by Audre Lorde. For those of us who live at the shoreline, standing upon the constant edges of decision, crucial and alone for those of us who cannot indulge the passing dreams of choice, who love in doorways, coming and going in the hours between dawn, looking inward and outward at once, before and after, seeking a now that can breed futures like bread in our children's mouths. So their dreams will not reflect the death of ours. For those of us who were imprinted with fear like a faint line in the center of our forehead, learning to be afraid with our mother's milk, for by this weapon, this illusion of some safety to be found, the heavy footed hoped to silence us. For all of us, this instant and this triumph, we were never meant to survive. And when the sun rises, we are afraid it might not remain. When the sun sets, we are afraid it might not rise in the morning. When our stomachs are full, we are afraid of indigestion. When our stomachs are empty, we are afraid we may never eat again. When we are loved, we are afraid love will vanish. When we are alone, we are afraid love will never return. And when we speak, we are afraid our words will not be heard nor welcomed. But when we are silent, we are still afraid. So it is better to speak, remembering we were never meant to survive. This piece by Lorde is a profound and evocative poem that speaks to the constant struggle and resilience of marginalized communities. It highlights the pervasive fear and determination to speak out despite that fear, mirroring the core messages of the Black Lives Matter movement. This poem, with its powerful imagery and call for courage in the face of oppression, Black Lives Matter has mobilized millions around the world, advocating for policy changes and accountability. The movement underscores the intersections of race, gender, and economic inequality, striving for a more inclusive and just society. So, as we reflect on the Black social movement, we must acknowledge the resilience and strength of Black communities in the face of adversity. The quest for equality and justice continues, and it is our collective responsibility to support these efforts. Therefore, Black social movements and community wisdom, there's an obvious intersection in the two, right? The work of community wisdom is grounded in all of this past engagement by our ancestors by social justice warriors of the past, current, and future. And our work is aligned to constantly advance Blackness in Black America forward, to make sure that we get our just due in a society and a construct that was not built for us. We're not meant to survive and thrive within this system, but it is economically beneficial for us to survive and thrive in it because we generate wealth that we put in other people's hands. That's okay if you're okay living in the construct, right? That's why it's important to look at the matrix through this social justice lens and understand like you can take the red pill or the blue pill, and whichever pill you decide to take is going to decide what path you're going to be walking as things happen around you. You can sleepwalk and ignore it and let others handle it, or you can be a part of defining the future for our children's children as we become ancestors, right? And all of this is a part of soul shifting. I'm going to close this out by making a case that we need to vote. Black votes matter. I know it feels like our one vote out of millions don't matter, but we need to think as a collective. And to think as a collective means that we have to hold on to our own agency and be responsible with it and be involved and engaged. At the minimum you can do is vote, right? And this next election is so important because our country is at a fork in the road. Our ops have decided that this is the moment that they're going to take to change the direction of this society. And I argue it is not in the best interest of Black people. We ain't ready for where they want to take this country. We still have work to do. The direction in which our ops want to take this country want to reverse all of that. Critical race theory, books in the school about race and American history that they want to extract out of the schools because it makes white people uncomfortable. There is a common thread that seeks to advance the superiority complex of a race that wants to remain the majority and wants to remain in control of everybody else. The gag is they're not superior. They're human. Skin color is just there's no DNA that makes any of us different. We all have the same DNA. We as humans, we adapt to our environments and our skin color is the result of that. So race as a construct, if you don't understand the concept of what a construct is, hey, maybe we need to do a podcast or an episode on it, but it's important to understand it because we can create our own constructs. We can. It takes will and it just takes intentionality. The racial construct exists because there is power involved. Racism is about power. So there's this constant argument that Black people can be racist. If we had power, we could be racist, but we don't have any power. Globally, we do not have power. If we had power, anti-Blackness would not be an issue globally. And that's the point of this podcast. Cultivate Blackness so that we take the power away from others to confine us to a construct. Let them think they have power when they don't have power over us at all. Even when we're operating within the belly of the beast. And the belly of the beast that we're operating in is the United States of America. And the construct that's created within this continent, within North America, within neoliberalism. And it's a superstructure of a construct that feeds. It feeds off of us and our energy and our engagement of it. We can take control of that. We can take our power back. We have to cultivate Blackness and add value back to it. I've said it in other podcasts. I want to continue to say it. I don't have all the answers, but I think we as Black people need to start having that conversation to decide what does that look like and how do we have it here in the United States? How do we make sure that it happens in Europe? And how do we make sure that it happens in South America, the Caribbean, and the West Indies? And most importantly, how do we get that power back on the main continent, the motherland, Africa, where civilization started, philosophy, all of that started, spirituality. We need to take claim of all of that again. Um, I'm going to have to mark this off as one of JyOba X's rants about what we need to do as Black people to advance ourselves. But this gets to a bigger cause. You don't have to be Black to advance Blackness. If you love Blackness, you love Black people, you're an ally in this cause. And you should be able to connect to what's being said in these podcasts that are happening with SoulShift. SoulShift is a requirement of everybody that wants to make the world a fair and just society of humans, making sure we're all equal and respectful of each other and our lots in life and how we advance forward to make sure we all have opportunities. So, Black social movements in the United States, man, it's a project that's necessary for humanity to advance itself, right? There's this constant struggle between good and bad that we have to always try to reconcile and find alignment. And it's a battle that just comes with who we are as a species. We're going to always have the struggle against the light and dark, night and day, positive and negative. It's just who we are. And we got the free will to define it. So I look at American Project as our component of this project is, as Black people, we're here to keep white people honest. When we talk about colonizers and we talk about the negative aspects of manifest destiny and all of this, I believe that we as Black people who were enslaved, brought across the Atlantic, survived, and were put here on this soil to work it and create this wealth, it's up to us to keep them honest because they can't extract us out of this country, just like they can't extract indigenous Americans from the land. They owned the land before we got here. They took care of the land. They managed it. They managed it responsibly. They learned how to live and 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 connect with it on a spiritual level. African Americans, we are brought here to work on this land and be a part of this system that we have learned how to actually both survive and thrive in. And the system wasn't meant for us or indigenous people. So that's a call to action for us to focus in on doing collective works. The majority minority people in the United States of America must learn how to work more closely and in alignment with each other. Immigrants, Hispanic, Latin Americans, Mexican Americans, Muslim Americans, African Americans, Native American. When we work in a coordinated fashion, you can't really stop us. Can't stop us at all. The politics of this country can't really contain us like they would. So we'll bring this back to the Supreme Court. We'll have another podcast about politics and what needs to happen. We need to vote. We need to educate ourselves about the positions of these individuals that we are putting in these positions to represent us in this democracy. And right now, I don't see any other form of government that's better than a democracy to advance Blackness. I just don't. That means that we have to vote. We have to vote in mass. And we have to support that voting with intentionality and having a future, a purpose, goals that are long term and generational. And I argue that community wisdom is a part of that. It brings knowledge from the past into the current, and it also develops knowledge for the future. We can control all of that and move with the flow of life to create a better world for all of us. So, with that said, I want to thank you for joining us on Soul Shift. I want to thank y'all for giving me the opportunity to rant a little bit at the end. I'm getting better at this podcasting thing, that I'm feeling more comfortable about ranting and going off script. Yes, I do have a script. I'm not going to sit up here and lie about it. I'm going to be transparent because that's part of community wisdom, being transparent. So if today's episode resonated with you, please subscribe. Please subscribe so that we can reach our numbers on YouTube and TikTok and Facebook to start getting SoulShift monetized so that I can start really taking this project and doing some next level stuff with y'all by my side, and in some cases probably leading it, so that I can support you and have you on this podcast to talk about your work. So if anything on this podcast resonated with you, please subscribe, rate, and review us on our YouTube channel. It's growing nicely. I want to thank y'all who have liked and are following the YouTube channel. We're going to stay committed to this thing. And also, for y'all who are more audio prone as opposed to video, we are on all the podcast networks and platforms that are out there. So please like us and follow us in that space. When you're in your car and you just need some motivation or something to listen to Soul Shift on the drive in to work. So stay tuned for more soul shifting insights and stories that inspire and transform our world. Your support helps us continue to explore and amplify the wisdom of our community. So until next time, remember, together we can shift the soul of our society. Stay inspired, stay connected, and keep transforming those radical possibilities into promise. And let's keep steadily soul shifting society together. Peace and blessings, everyone. My love for culture coalesced in small coffee houses around Detroit and Hamtramck before they even became a thing, y'all. I met great artists and advocates who would eventually become good friends. I went on to produce open mics and community events with the same intimate intentionality of those coffee house owners of the past. So it's fitting that the name of this Patreon space is going to be called Soul Shift, the Coffee House. So it's going to be designed to serve in a virtual capacity where soul shifters, patrons can participate in the vibe, that coffee house vibes that are great spaces to be exposed to edgy art, people, and new ways of thinking. As an activist in these spaces, I loved it that I often would meet with other artists and activists to advance a cause or a project, to organize or to meet or just to have conversations over coffee. We networked, mentored, and supported each other through our journeys. So expect much of the same, and let's cross pollinate thoughts and ideas to steadily soul shift society towards being just and fair in this space. The experience will make this space unique. The coffee house will host special events, episodes, and live streams to bring us closer together. Better networked, right? Through the theory of community wisdom, Soul Shift will cultivate new ideas, projects, and merchandise to advance our values and mission in the coffee house. So, additionally, I will allow the coffee house patrons to interact with me directly through my consultancy, the JyOba X project strategies. Think in terms of professional leadership and community organizer coaching. And as such, I'll provide dedicated office and coaching sessions for premium subscribers. General subscribers will enjoy deep discounts on selected merchandise and special events, and we'll develop this Patreon page as need be. So please share your ideas on how to make this space unique and a safe space for all. Please remember to subscribe, follow, and like our Soul Shift social media posts because your index finger is the best PR agent Soul Shift will ever have, y'all. Believe that. Peace and blessings. And thanks for being here.